The stars stretched endlessly before the viewing window of the dauntless Hope. Captain Jiho stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the massive space station grow larger as his ship approached. The central assembly station was bigger than anything humans had ever built. It looked like a small moon, covered in lights and docking ports where hundreds of alien ships came and went. "Captain, we're receiving the docking clearance," said Lieutenant Suman from her station. Her voice was steady, but Jiho could hear the excitement underneath. This was the moment humanity had waited for since they first reached the stars. Jiho nodded. "Take us in slowly. Let's make a good first impression." Behind him, Ambassador Hana adjusted her formal robes. She had spent months learning the customs of the Galactic Federation. The Federation was an alliance of 47 different alien species. They had maintained peace for 10,000 years. Now humanity wanted to join them. "Are you nervous?" Jiho asked her quietly. Hana smiled. "Terrified. But we've prepared for this. Earth deserves a place among the stars." The ship moved through the docking procedures with care. Every movement was calculated, every communication polite and formal. The crew had practiced this 1,000 times. Finally, the dauntless Hope settled into its assigned berth with a gentle thud. The airlock opened, and the delegation from Earth stepped into the station. The corridor was filled with beings that looked nothing like humans. Some walked on 4 legs, others floated in the air. One creature looked like a collection of crystals that hummed with light. But all of them stopped to watch the humans pass. "They're staring," whispered Wu Jin, one of the junior diplomats. "Let them look," Hana replied. "We're new. Curiosity is natural." The Federation Council chamber was enormous. It was shaped like a bowl, with seats rising up in circles. Each species had their section, marked with symbols humans didn't recognize. At the center was a platform where speakers could address the entire council. Hana walked to that platform now, with Jiho and the rest of the human delegation behind her. Thousands of alien eyes watched them. Some were actual eyes, others were sensors, or energy fields, or things humans didn't have names for yet. The council speaker, a being named Vex Thil, who looked like a tall mantis made of blue metal, raised one of his 4 arms. "The council recognizes the delegation from the world called Earth. Ambassador Hana, you may speak." Hana bowed, a gesture the Federation seemed to understand. "Honored Council, we come from a small world in what you call Sector 7. We are new to the stars, but we are eager to learn. We offer friendship, trade, and cultural exchange. We ask only for the chance to prove ourselves worthy of joining the Galactic Federation." There was a long silence. Then one of the council members spoke. This one looked like a collection of floating spheres. "Your technology is primitive. Your ships are slow. What can you offer the Federation?" Hana had prepared for this question. "We offer new perspectives. Our art, our music, our stories. We have resources on our world that might be valuable. But most importantly, we offer our friendship. We have learned that the best partnerships are built on trust, not just trade." Another council member, this one resembling a large flower with tentacles, added, "We have reviewed your preliminary reports. Your species seems peaceful enough, but your biology is unusual. You are classified as a persistence predator species. This is rare among spacefaring races." Jiho felt a small chill at those words. The Federation had studied Earth more closely than they thought. Hana kept her smile steady. "Yes, our ancestors were hunters. But we have evolved beyond that. We are explorers now, not predators." Vex Thil's head tilted in what might have been consideration. "The Federation has existed in harmony for 10,000 cycles. War is a concept we study only in historical archives. Can your species embrace this philosophy of peace?" "We can," Hana said firmly. "We have." Earth has been at peace for 200 years. We came to the stars because we wanted something better than our past. The council deliberated for what felt like hours. The human delegation stood on the platform, trying not to show their nervousness. Finally, Vex Thill spoke again. The Galactic Federation accepts Earth as a provisional member. You will have access to our trade networks, our knowledge bases, and our protected space. In return, you will follow our laws and contribute to the harmony of all species. Welcome to the Federation. The relief that washed over the human delegation was visible. Hana bowed again, deeper this time. Thank you, honored council. Earth will not disappoint you. Over the next months, humanity began integrating into galactic society. Trade routes were established. Human ships, with their unusual heavy construction and redundant systems, began carrying cargo between worlds. Young humans like Tai Yang traveled to Federation universities to learn alongside aliens. The humans were strange to the other species. They were physically strong, capable of great endurance. Their ships were built with too much armor, as if expecting attacks that never came in Federation space. Their reflexes were fast, sometimes startling aliens who weren't used to quick movements. But they were friendly. They smiled and laughed and shared their culture enthusiastically. Earth's first colony, New Busan, was established on a frontier world. Humans called it home within a year. Jiho remained at the Central Assembly as Earth's military liaison. It was mostly a ceremonial position. The Federation had no military. They had peacekeepers who mediated disputes, but no soldiers, no warships. One evening, Vex Thill approached Jiho in the station's observation deck. The alien scholar had become something of a friend during the months since Earth joined the Federation. Captain Jiho, may I ask you something personal? Vex Thill's translator made his voice sound curious. Of course, Jiho replied. I have been studying your species' history. The records you provided are very detailed about your recent centuries. But the older records are less clear. Your ambassador mentioned that Earth has been at peace for 200 years. What came before that peace? Jiho felt his stomach tighten. This was the question he had hoped wouldn't come. We had conflicts, disagreements between nations. Nothing unusual for a developing species. I see. Vex Thill was quiet for a moment. Your ships are built very strongly. Your people train in combat sports with great enthusiasm. Your entertainment often depicts violence. These things puzzle me. Old habits, Jiho said carefully. Cultural remnants from a more primitive time. We're leaving that behind. Vex Thill seemed to accept this answer, but Jiho could tell the scholar wasn't entirely satisfied. As the alien walked away, Jiho looked out at the stars and hoped that Earth's secrets would remain buried in the past where they belonged. The Federation had given humanity a chance at a better future. Now they just had to keep being the peaceful species everyone believed they were. Jiho touched the small medallion he wore under his uniform. It was old, passed down in his family. The inscription was in Korean. Never forget what we were so we never become it again. He hoped that would be possible. The emergency alert woke every being on the Central Assembly Station at the same time. Jiho was in his quarters when the alarm sounded. He was dressed and moving toward the command center before he was fully awake. Years of training had made that automatic. The command center was chaos. Aliens of every species rushed between stations, their translators creating a storm of overlapping voices. Jiho found Vex Thill near a large display screen that showed a map of Federation space. What's happening? Jiho asked. Vex Thill's mechanical eyes flickered with what might have been fear. An unknown force has attacked the outer colonies. 3 worlds have gone silent in the past hour. We're receiving distress calls from 2 more. On the screen, Jiho watched as red markers spread across the map like a disease. Whatever was attacking was moving fast and hitting multiple targets at once. Do we have any information about the attackers? Jiho's mind was already working, analyzing patterns, looking for strategic weaknesses. Then he caught himself. This wasn't his job anymore. Humanity was supposed to be peaceful now. Limited data, another council member said. This one was named Telvan, a being that looked like living water held in a transparent suit. The few ships that escaped describe creatures that move and fight with perfect coordination. They call themselves the Vral Swarm. The display changed to show grainy footage from a fleeing ship. Jiho felt his blood run cold. The Vral looked like insects, but massive, the size of small spacecraft. They moved through space without ships, their bodies somehow adapted to the void, and there were thousands of them, maybe millions, flowing through space like a swarm of locusts. The Kepler 442b colony is requesting immediate evacuation, someone announced. That's where New Busan is located. Jiho's jaw tightened. Thousands of humans lived there, along with other Federation species. What's the evacuation plan? The silence that followed was answer enough. We don't have one, Vexthil admitted quietly. The Federation has not faced a military threat in 10,000 years. We have cargo ships, passenger transports, research vessels. We have no warships, no weapons, no soldiers. Jiho stared at the alien in disbelief. You have no defenses at all? We have never needed them. The galaxy has been at peace, until now. The next hours were terrible. The Vral swept through system after system. Federation ships tried to evacuate civilians, but the Vral were faster. They didn't just destroy, they consumed. Entire colonies vanished, their populations taken for purposes no one wanted to imagine. The council met in emergency session. Dozens of species argued about what to do. Some wanted to negotiate, others wanted to hide, to abandon the outer territories and fortify the core worlds, but no one had any real solutions. We need to fight back, someone said. It was Telvan, the water being. Surely we can modify our ships, create weapons. With what knowledge? Another council member snapped. None of us remember how to wage war. It's been thousands of years. We would be children playing with weapons we don't understand while predators devour us. That's when Jiho stood up. He wasn't supposed to speak in council sessions, but desperation made him brave. Earth can help. The entire chamber went silent. Hundreds of beings turned to look at him. Captain Jiho, Vexthil said slowly, what do you mean? We know how to fight. We can organize a defense. We can... Impossible, Telvan interrupted. Your species is classified as a developing world. Your technology is centuries behind ours. What could you possibly do that we cannot? Jiho looked at Ambassador Hana, who had joined the emergency session. She gave him a small nod. Permission to speak the truth they had been hiding. Send a message to Earth, Jiho said quietly. Ask for Fleet Commander Minho. Tell him the situation. He'll explain. 3 days later, Commander Minho arrived at the Central Assembly Station. He came in a ship that made every Federation sensor operator stop and stare. It was sleek and dark, covered in armor plating that no civilian vessel would ever need. It bristled with things that could only be weapons. Minho was a tall man with gray hair and scars on his hands. He walked into the council chamber like he owned it, with Admiral Doyun beside him. Behind them came a dozen other humans in uniforms that looked military, though the Federation had never seen human military uniforms before. You asked for help, Minho said without preamble. We're here to provide it. Who are you? Vexthil asked. We were told Earth has no military. We lied, Minho said simply. Not completely. We have no military on Earth, haven't for 2 centuries. But we kept a fleet, just in case. We called it the Reserve Security Force. Really, it's an army. How large is this force? Telvan demanded. Admiral Doyun activated a holographic display. It showed dozens of ships, sleek and dangerous, hiding in the dark spaces between stars. 247 combat vessels, 30,000 trained personnel, full weapons manufacturing capability. We've been ready for 200 years, hoping we'd never be needed. The council erupted in shouting. Some species accused humans of deception. Others were terrified that a member species had been hiding a military. A few were relieved that anyone, knew how to fight. Minho waited for the noise to die down. We can argue about this later. Right now, the Vral are 3 days from the core worlds. Either let us help, or watch your civilization fall. Vexthil looked at the human commander for a long moment. If we agree to this, you will command all defensive operations? Yes. And we must trust that you will not turn these weapons against us later? Minho's expression softened slightly. We left Earth to escape our violent past. We don't want to be warriors again. But these Vral are killing innocent people. We can't just watch that happen. So yes, we'll fight. And when it's over, we'll go back to being peaceful. Because that's what we chose to be. The council voted. It wasn't unanimous, but it was enough. Humanity was given emergency military command over all Federation forces and resources. The first battle happened at Sigma Outpost, a mining station on the edge of Federation space. The Vral came in overwhelming numbers, expecting the easy victory they'd had everywhere else. Instead, they found human ships waiting for them. Captain Nari commanded the destroyer Soul's Fury. She watched the Vral swarm approach on her screens and felt something old wake up inside her. Her ancestors had been warriors. She had tried to leave that behind, but watching innocent people die had changed something. All ships, battle formation Delta, she ordered. Target the lead clusters. Fire on my mark. The human fleet moved with precision that shocked the Federation observers watching from safe distance. They didn't charge forward. They didn't scatter in panic. They moved like a pack of predators, cutting off escape routes, isolating targets, coordinating their fire. When the weapons fired, the Vral learned something new. They had been the apex predators of their space, crushing peaceful civilizations with ease. But now they faced something they didn't understand. They faced prey that knew how to hunt back. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, the Vral swarm retreated. Half their numbers had been destroyed. Not a single human ship was lost. In the council chamber, Vexthil watched the battle recordings in silence. The other council members were equally quiet. They had asked for help. They had gotten it. But watching humans fight was terrifying. "They're so efficient," Telvan whispered. "So calm. They kill like it's natural." Vexthil's translator clicked softly. "I think, my friend, it is natural for them. And that is what frightens me most." Ambassador Hana stood before the Galactic Council with her head held high, even though she felt sick inside. After the battle at Sigma Outpost, the Council had demanded answers, real answers this time, not the careful half-truths humanity had been telling for years. "You ask to understand what we are," Hana began. Her voice was steady, but every human in the room knew how much this cost her. "Very well, I will tell you about Earth." She activated a holographic display. It showed Earth rotating slowly, beautiful and blue. Then the images changed, showing scenes from human history. Ancient warriors with swords, armies with guns, cities burning, mushroom clouds rising into the sky. "This is our world," Hana said. "We call it Earth, but our oldest languages have other names for it. In Latin, we called it Terra. In Korean, we called it Samteo. These names all mean the same thing. They mean the fighting ground. The place where battle happens. The world that creates warriors." The council chamber was completely silent. Every being present watched the images flash past. Thousands of years of warfare compressed into minutes. Battles, weapons, destruction, and death. So much death. "How long?" Vexthil asked quietly. "How long has this been happening?" "Since the beginning," Hana replied. "We have records going back 10,000 years. Every century, every generation, somewhere on Earth there was war. Sometimes small, sometimes world-ending. We fought over land, over resources, over ideas, over gods, over things we can't even remember anymore." "Why didn't you destroy yourselves?" Telvan's voice was barely a whisper. Hana smiled sadly. "We came close, several times, but we learned something important. We learned that surviving war makes you very, very good at fighting the next one. Earth didn't just create warriors, it created a species that treats conflict like evolution. We adapt, we improve, we survive." Another council member spoke up, their translator making harsh clicking sounds. "You told us you were peaceful, that Earth had been at peace for 200 years. "That part was true," Hana said. 200 years ago, we looked at what we had become and decided to change. We put down our weapons. We destroyed most of our arsenals. We swore we would never go to war again. And we haven't. Not with each other." "But you kept a fleet," Vexthil said. "Why?" "Because we know ourselves," Jiho answered, stepping forward. "We know that peace is a choice, not a permanent state. We kept a fleet because we remembered that the galaxy might not be as peaceful as we hoped. We kept soldiers because we couldn't forget thousands of years of lessons written in blood." The council began shouting questions. Hana raised her hand, and slowly, the chamber quieted again. "I know you're afraid. You should be. But let me tell you something else about humans. We didn't just learn how to fight. We learned why we fight, and we learned that the best warriors are the ones who hate war the most, because they know its true cost." She changed the display to show something different. Images of human cities rebuilt after wars. Soldiers planting gardens in old battlefields. Children playing in parks where battles had once raged. "This is also Earth," Hana said. "We fight to protect these moments. We became warriors so our children wouldn't have to. Every human who serves in our military knows what war does. We don't fight because we enjoy it. We fight because someone has to, and we're good at it." Vexthil approached the platform where Hana stood. The tall alien looked down at her with his strange mechanical eyes. "I have been researching your world. I found something in the old human archives, a phrase that appears in many of your languages. Terra Invicta. What does this mean?" Hana closed her eyes briefly. "Earth unconquered. The unbroken world. It's what we called ourselves in our darkest times. No matter how many wars we fought, no matter how much we suffered, Earth never fell. We never gave up. Terra Invicta was our promise to ourselves that we would survive anything." "Is that what you are?" Telvan asked. "A species that cannot be conquered? No," Hana said firmly. "That's what we were. What we are now is a species trying to be better. But the Vral won't let us hide from our past. They're killing innocent people. So we have to become what we were. One more time, we have to become Terra Invicta again." General Sayok, the head of Earth's military forces, stepped forward. He was an old man with kind eyes and a voice like gravel. "Honored Council, I want to be very clear about what you're asking us to do. You want us to go to war. That means we will kill. We will destroy. We will do terrible things to the Vral, things that will probably give you nightmares." He paused, looking around the chamber. "But we will do these things so you don't have to. We will carry this burden so your people can remain innocent of war's horrors. When it's over, you can judge us if you wish. You can exile us, restrict us, even imprison us. We'll accept that. But right now, your people are dying, and we're the only ones who can stop it." The council deliberated for hours. The humans waited outside the chamber, knowing their fate was being decided. When they were finally called back in, Vexthil spoke for the assembly. "The Galactic Federation grants humanity emergency military command over all defensive operations. You will have access to all our resources, all our industrial capability, everything you need to fight this war. In return, you will protect Federation worlds and citizens. Do you accept? We do, General Sayok said. Then may the old gods of all our peoples protect us, Vexthil said quietly. Because we have just awakened something we don't fully understand. Over the next days, the truth about Earth spread through the Federation. Some species were horrified, others were fascinated. A few wanted to close their borders to humans immediately, but everyone watched as Earth mobilized for war. It was frightening how fast it happened. Factories that made civilian goods switched to weapons production in less than a week. Millions of humans volunteered for military service, and they all seemed to know basic combat skills already. The Federation learned that every human child was taught tactics and strategy in school, just as history lessons, they claimed. But it was clear these lessons had darker purposes. Ships poured out of Earth's system, not just the 200 vessels they'd hidden, but thousands more, built in secret shipyards. Human military commanders took over Federation defense networks and rebuilt them from scratch. Peaceful trade routes became fortified supply lines. Research stations became forward operating bases. Commander Yuna, in charge of recruitment, gave an interview that was broadcast across the Federation. People ask me if humans are eager to fight. The answer is no. We hate war. But when something threatens innocent lives, we stop hating and start doing what's necessary. That's what makes us different. We can turn our fear and anger into focused action. The alien journalist asked her, "But isn't that what makes you dangerous?" Yuna's smile was sad. Yes, that's exactly what makes us dangerous, and that's why we chose peace for 200 years. We know what we're capable of. We just hoped we'd never have to show you. In his private quarters, Vexthil compiled his research into a report. He titled it, "The Battle World and Its Children." In it, he wrote, "Humanity is not a warrior species by choice. They are a warrior species by evolution. Earth itself shaped them through endless conflict. They did not develop civilization despite war. They developed civilization because of it. War taught them cooperation, strategy, sacrifice, and determination. These humans terrify me, not because they are cruel, but because warfare is as natural to them as breathing. And now we have asked them to breathe deeply." He saved the report and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Vral were coming, and humanity was preparing to meet them. The galaxy was about to learn what it meant when Earth's true name was spoken. The Vral Queen received the report from her forward commanders with confusion. It was a feeling she rarely experienced. Her swarm had conquered 17 civilizations in her lifetime. Each time, the pattern was the same. They attacked, the prey scattered, they consumed. Simple, efficient, perfect. But these humans were different. "Explain again," she commanded through the hive mind that connected all Vral. "How did we lose a battle?" The commander who survived the Sigma outpost engagement sent memories directly into her consciousness. She saw what he had seen, human ships moving in patterns that made no sense until suddenly they did. Weapons fire that came from unexpected angles. Traps that appeared where there should have been empty space. And worst of all, the humans had predicted where the swarm would go and prepared for it. "They think like predators," the commander reported. "Not prey. They hunt us." This was impossible. The Vral had studied the Federation species. All of them were peaceful, evolved from herbivores or scavengers. None of them had the hunting instinct. Yet these humans fought like apex predators. "Send more swarms," the Queen ordered. "Overwhelm them with numbers." But that strategy failed too. Every time the Vral attacked, humans were ready. It was as if they could read the swarm's intentions. What the Queen didn't understand was that humans had spent 10,000 years fighting each other. They knew every strategy, every tactic, every dirty trick that existed in warfare. The Vral were learning these lessons for the first time. Humans had been teaching them to each other for centuries. Admiral Hyun commanded the human fleet's northern offensive. He was a thin man who smiled rarely, but his crews respected him absolutely. When he learned that the Vral were using supply depots hidden in asteroid fields, he didn't attack them directly. Instead, he destroyed everything around them. "Cut their supply lines," he ordered. "Make them starve. A hungry army is a weak army." It was a tactic as old as warfare itself, but to the Vral, who had always had abundant resources, it was a nightmare. Suddenly, their swarms were fighting without support. They became desperate, making mistakes, and humans exploited every mistake without mercy. Captain Taiyang led the boarding actions. He was young, only 25, but he had trained his whole life for combat. His specialty was close-quarters fighting, something most Federation species found barbaric. The idea of facing an enemy face-to-face, with no distance between you, was terrifying to them. But humans had been doing it for thousands of years. Taiyang's team breached a Vral command vessel, moving through corridors with weapons ready. The Vral inside tried to overwhelm them with numbers, using tactics that had worked on other species. But humans didn't panic. They moved in formations perfected over centuries, covering each other, advancing methodically. When they captured the ship, Taiyang reported back to command. "The Vral are strong, but they fight individually. They don't understand unit tactics. We can use that." And they did. Every battle taught humans more about their enemy. Every engagement revealed weaknesses. The Vral thought in terms of the swarm, one massive force. Humans thought in terms of strategy, using smaller forces to accomplish specific goals. Tactician Minji pioneered psychological warfare against the Vral hive mind. She realized that when one Vral died, all nearby Vral experienced the death through their connection. So she made deaths as terrifying as possible. Human ships would broadcast sounds and images designed to cause fear. They would leave destroyed Vral vessels as warnings. They would strike and vanish, making the swarm paranoid. "We're not just fighting their bodies," Minji explained to the Federation observers. "We're fighting their minds. We're making them afraid." A Federation psychologist watched her presentation in horror. "This is cruel. Deliberately causing psychological trauma is a war crime by Federation law." Minji looked at the alien calmly. "The Vral consumed 3 million Federation citizens. They don't negotiate. They don't take prisoners. They destroy everything they touch. So yes, we're being cruel, because kindness won't save anyone." The observer left the briefing shaking. That evening, they filed a report about human warfare that would be studied by Federation scholars for generations. It described how humans fought not just with weapons, but with their minds, their will, and their absolute refusal to accept defeat. Federation observers stationed on human ships witnessed things that changed them forever. They saw soldiers joking and laughing minutes before battle. They saw crews singing old songs as they flew into danger. They saw medics like Heian working for days without sleep to save wounded comrades. But they also saw the darkness. They saw how easily humans could kill, how they celebrated victories that involved massive death tolls, how they marked their ships with symbols counting their kills, treating war like a competition. Pilot Wu Jin had 43 kill marks painted on his fighter. When an observer asked him about it, Wu Jin shrugged. "It helps me keep track. Makes me feel like I'm accomplishing something." "You're accomplishing death," the observer said quietly. Wu Jin's expression hardened. "Yes, that's what war is. I don't enjoy killing, but I'm good at it. And right now, being good at killing is what keeps you and your people alive. So I'll carry this weight, and when the war is over, I'll spend the rest of my life trying to forget every one of these marks." The turning point came at the Battle of the Crimson Nebula. The Vral sent their largest swarm yet, over 1 million strong. They were going to break through to the core Federation worlds, no matter the cost. Admiral Doyen commanded the defense fleet. He had fewer than 300 ships against 1,000,000 enemies. The numbers were impossible. Every simulation said the humans would lose. But Doyen had studied an ancient human commander named Sherman, who had believed in total war. Not just defeating the enemy's army, but destroying their will to fight. "All ships," Doyen broadcast. "We're not going to stop them here. We're going to follow them. Every time they try to attack a world, we hit them from behind. Every time they rest, we strike. Every time they feed, we poison their supplies. We're going to hunt them across space until they break." For 6 weeks, the human fleet pursued the Vral swarm. They didn't engage in one big battle. Instead, they struck constantly, using small attacks that added up over time. The Vral couldn't rest, couldn't feed properly, couldn't organize. Slowly, impossibly, the swarm began to fall apart. The Vral queen felt her swarm dying not from overwhelming force, but from exhaustion and desperation. These humans weren't just defeating her forces. They were destroying them psychologically, breaking the hive mind itself. Finally, she sent a message. It was broadcast to all human ships in a way that bypassed normal communications. The hive mind itself was speaking. "What are you?" The Queen's voice echoed through human vessels. Admiral Doyen considered the question. Then he responded, "We are Terra Invicta, Earth unconquered. We are the species that learned warfare from our own world, where everything fought for survival. You thought you were apex predators, but you've never met predators like us." There was a long silence. Then the Queen spoke again. "Retreat. All swarms, full retreat. Mark their space with the ancient warning. Mark it as Deathworld territory. Never return." The Vral swarm turned and fled into dark space, leaving Federation territory forever. In the command centers across human ships, there was cheering, victory, celebration. They had won. But Admiral Doyen sat in his chair looking at the casualty reports. 50,000 humans dead, hundreds of thousands wounded, ships destroyed, families broken, the price of victory. Medic Heun worked in the recovery wards, treating soldiers who would never be the same. Some had physical wounds that would heal. Others had wounds that wouldn't, the kind that lived in nightmares and memories. "Was it worth it?" one young soldier asked her. His name was Jinho, and he'd lost both legs in a boarding action. Heun didn't lie to him. "I don't know. We saved billions of lives, but we paid a terrible price for it. And now the galaxy knows what we are. That might be worse than the Vral." Because that was the truth. Humanity had won the war, but they had revealed themselves in the process. Every species in the Federation had watched humans fight, had seen how good they were at violence, how natural it came to them. And now they were afraid. The victory celebrations lasted 3 days across the Federation. Billions of beings gathered in their cities and stations to honor the humans who had saved them. Statues were commissioned, songs were written, children were named after human heroes. The gratitude was genuine and overwhelming. But behind closed doors in private council meetings, a different conversation was happening. "What do we do about them now?" Telvan asked, their water form rippling with agitation. "They saved us, yes, but they also showed us what they're capable of. We have warriors living among us, warriors who are very, very good at killing." The council chamber was smaller this time, just the core members. They had gathered to discuss the human problem, as some were calling it. "We cannot simply exile them," Vexthil argued. "They are Federation members. They fought for us. To cast them out would be the greatest dishonor." "But can we trust them?" another member asked. "They hid their military from us for years. They lied about their nature. What's to stop them from turning on us?" The debate continued for hours. Some wanted restrictions on human military forces. Others wanted monitoring and surveillance. A few even suggested that humans should be confined to their own systems. allowed to trade but not travel freely. Ambassador Hana learned about these meetings through informal channels. She felt sick. Humanity had sacrificed so much, and now they were being treated like a threat. She found Captain Jiho in an observation lounge, staring at the stars. He looked older now, worn down by months of war and diplomacy. "They're talking about restrictions," Hana said quietly, sitting beside him. "I know," Jiho replied. "I expected it. We scared them. Maybe we should have stayed hidden. And let billions die? No. But now we're facing a different problem. We showed them what we are. We can never put that back in the box." Hana was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "General Sayok wants to address the council tomorrow. He says he has a proposal." The next day, the council chamber was full again. All member species sent representatives. They all wanted to hear what humanity would say about their future. General Sayok walked to the center platform alone. He was wearing his military uniform, and he looked every bit the warrior he was, but his expression was gentle, almost sad. "Honored Council," he began, "I know you're afraid of us. I know you've been discussing what to do about humanity. So I'm going to make this simple. You have 3 choices." He held up one finger. "First choice, exile us. Send us back to Earth and forbid us from leaving our system. We will accept this. We'll go home, and you'll never hear from us again. Of course, when the next threat comes, and there will be a next threat, you'll face it alone." Some council members shifted uncomfortably. He had a point. Sayok held up a second finger. "Second choice, restrict us. Monitor our worlds, limit our military, turn us into second-class Federation members. We'll accept this too. But understand that it will breed resentment. Today's generation might forgive you, but our children will remember being treated as threats despite saving you. That's how wars begin, ironically enough." The chamber was completely silent now. Sayok held up a third finger. "Third choice, trust us. Not blind trust, but earned trust. Let us do what we're good at. Let us be your guardians. We'll protect the Federation from external threats. We'll train defense forces. We'll maintain readiness so that if another Vral comes, we're prepared. In return, give us the resources we need and the respect we've earned." "Why should we trust you?" Telvan asked. "You are warriors by nature. Warriors seek conflict." "No," Sayok said firmly. "Warriors who love war seek conflict. Warriors who understand war seek peace, because we know the cost. Every human who fought in this war saw friends die. Every one of us will carry scars for the rest of our lives. We don't want to do this again, but we will if necessary, because someone has to." Vexathil stood up from his seat. "I have been studying humanity since they arrived. I have learned something important. Humans are not warriors by choice. They are warriors by evolution. But they are peaceful by choice. That choice is harder for them than it is for us, because they must fight their own nature constantly. Yet they choose peace anyway. That is courage we should respect." The debate that followed lasted for days. Eventually, a compromise was reached. It was formalized as the Terra Accords, named after Earth's ancient title. Under the Accords, humanity would serve as the Federation's military force. Human fleets would patrol borders. Human commanders would train defense forces from other species. Human strategists would maintain readiness plans. In exchange, humanity would receive resources, respect, and recognition as full Federation members. They would also be subject to Federation oversight, ensuring their power was used only for defense. Fleet Admiral Minho accepted command of the new Terran Expeditionary Force. His first speech to his troops was simple. "We are warriors. That's what we are. But we choose to be warriors who protect, not destroy. Wear that title with pride. but never forget the responsibility it carries. The years passed. The initial fear began to fade as humans proved themselves trustworthy. Young aliens began serving alongside humans in the defense forces. They learned tactics and strategy from instructors like Nari and Taiyang. Some were frightened at first, but they learned that human warriors could be gentle teachers. "Why do you teach us this?" a young alien cadet asked instructor Nari one day. "If we learn to fight, we might become threats to you someday." Nari smiled. "That's the point. We're teaching you because the galaxy shouldn't depend on one species for protection. The more of you who understand defense, the safer everyone becomes, including us." Trade between human and non-human worlds flourished. Cultural exchanges continued. Slowly, the Federation remembered that humans were more than just warriors. They were artists, scientists, philosophers, and dreamers, too. The violence was just one part of who they were. Vexthil wrote his final paper on humanity. It was titled The Guardians of Terra Invicta. In his conclusion, he wrote, "I was wrong to fear humanity simply because they are good at violence. Every species has darkness within them. Humans simply learned to control theirs earlier than most. They are proof that a warrior species can choose peace without losing their strength." Perhaps that is the most important lesson they teach us, that what you are born to be and what you choose to be are not the same thing. Captain Suman, now middle-aged, took command of the new flagship, Dauntless Hope II. Her mission was to explore beyond Federation space, seeking new civilizations and potential threats. As her ship prepared to launch, she addressed her crew. "Our ancestors fought for thousands of years so that we could reach the stars in peace," she said. "They made mistakes. They hurt each other. But they also learned, changed, and chose to be better. We carry their legacy now. We are Terra Invicta, Earth unconquered. We survived our own world's violence. We survived each other. And now we survive to protect others. Remember that. Remember why we fight when we must. And why we choose peace when we can." The ship launched into the darkness between stars, carrying humanity's promise forward. But peace, as humans knew better than anyone, was never permanent. Deep in uncharted space, an ancient signal activated. It had been dormant for 1,000,000 years, waiting for specific conditions to trigger it. Those conditions had finally been met. A massive structure, larger than any planet, began to wake up. Systems that had slept since before humans existed started coming online, and across all frequencies. In every language known to the Federation, a message began broadcasting. "The architects return. All inferior species will be reclaimed. Resistance is obsolete. Submit or be cleansed." In the Federation Council chambers, alarms began sounding. Admiral Doyen, now old and gray but still sharp, listened to the message. Then he turned to the council members, who were looking at him with fear and, he noticed, hope. "You asked once if you could trust us," Doyen said calmly. "You wondered if we would turn our weapons against you. Now you're going to find out. Because whatever the architects are, they're threatening you. And we protect what's ours." He activated his communicator. "All Terran forces, this is Admiral Doyen. Emergency mobilization. Authorization Terra Invicta. Wake up the reserves. Call in every ship. Activate every defense grid. Something ancient is coming, and we're going to teach it why you don't threaten our galaxy." Across Federation space, human ships began moving. Crews reported to duty stations. Weapons systems came online. The warriors of Earth, who had hoped they'd never have to fight again, prepared themselves for another war, because that was what they were, what they had always been, what they chose to be when others needed protecting. Terra Invicta, Earth unconquered, the species that survived by refusing to give up no matter the odds. The architects were about to learn what that meant. and somewhere in a library on the Central Assembly Station, a young alien student found Vexthil's papers about humanity. She read them carefully, trying to understand these strange warriors who had saved the galaxy once before. The last line of Vexthil's final paper stayed with her. When Earth's true name was spoken, the galaxy shook in fear, but it also shook with hope. Because finally, after 10,000 years of peace, we remembered something important. Peace is not the absence of warriors. It is warriors choosing not to fight. And humanity chooses peace every single day, against their own nature. That makes them the bravest species I have ever known. She closed the book and looked up at the stars, where human ships were gathering for another battle. And she whispered a prayer in her language, thanking whatever gods existed for giving the galaxy Earth, the battle world that forged the guardians they needed most.